Hello everyone, my name's Tris and this is Double O'Neill, and today I'm going to talk to you about a special locomotive for me. It's by Dapol and I headed over to Tony's Trains of Rugby to pick it up. Tony had a few of the variants here and I picked up Dapol Manor. And the reason I wanted to get this is it's Great Western, and the other reason is so I can have a nice memory of a certain manor that I saw at the Severn Valley Railway at Bridge North. We got on a train, my friend Chris and myself, and we had a wonderful time riding it, and he had a lovely picture next to it. Unfortunately, my dear friend Chris passed away a year and a half ago, and I miss him dreadfully. What a wonderful, wonderful man. But I thought it'd be wonderful to have the loco that he stood next to. I wanted to have it in the guise of Great Western, so it will be on my layout. And using Fox transfers, struggle to say that, I picked up these nameplates for Bradley Manor. So they do these lovely nameplates here. I'll do a little close up so you can see them. But yeah, this is Bradley Manor. It's got the cab side plate numbers as well. And then what I'll have to do is do a transfer number change on the front of the loco. So I thought it'd be a nice easy video in that way. I've got some Monty's models. They've got some crew to go inside. I'll have to paint them up and we'll pop them inside the cab. We'll also put some coal in the tender. As well as that, I'll use a Next 18 decoder and pop that inside the front of the smoke box. I understand it's quite easy to install. I haven't tried it, but apparently it's a tool to get everything apart. So I've got a Bachmann one. I've used one of these Bachmann ones, not an Next 18, but actually one of their 6-pin ones, which are kind of partially programmed, and they run really nicely actually on one of my narrow gauge locos. So that was nice, but you can adjust all the CVs to whatever you want. So what we do is we get this loco out and have just a little look at it. I'm sure you've seen some other Manors on there. For me, it's more of a personal project to get this done. So what we do is we'll get it out and have a look. So inside you get your owner's manual. I had a little look through and it's very good, much more than what you get with some other companies. Obviously not being nasty to those other companies, but it looks like Dapol are really trying to make a good impression here, and I'm quite impressed with all of that. Just the way they've got the CAD drawings, well, the 3D models, and they're showing exactly how to work on things. They got their spare parts as well, which is wonderful. I wonder if you can also order some of these parts to use for other projects that I'd like to do. So that would be an interesting one, but that's fantastic. The loco itself comes with the front and the back parts. The safety valve is got a chrome plate on it, very impressive actually. It's the shiniest part I've had in any steam engine. It's got the nice copper bits around the chimney there. That looks nice. They've not gone crazy shiny on that. It's just nice. Looking at the obviously the coned boiler going in, it's got a nice finish there, no nasty mold lines like you do on some kind of old models, like my mainline Colic Goods had it on, but it's a modern day thing. Anyway, you've got some of the inner workings of the loco there, where you've got the red painted items. This is very nicely detailed, really. You've got some fine gold lines going over the arches here to finish it off, so that's absolutely, well, brilliant. The cab inside is nice. You've got the fire doors actually open, which is, that's quite cool actually, seeing that. So I quite like that. The foot plate's got a nice mesh on it, well, not the foot plate, but the bit that joins up with the tender. It's got a nice connector where you got a tab each side, so then when it plugs in, get the continuity between the two. But yeah, very well detailed. All the gauges have nice well, kind of markings on them, so if you looked really close, I'm wondering if you could actually read a pressure. Even the water level, you can see. I don't know, the way that they've painted that so nicely. So very impressed with that. The cylinders look nice. All the bits have been fitted that you'd normally see some of the other brands, where you have the brake linkage. You normally have to put that on yourself. That's been pre-fitted already, so that's nice, because I always find that a bit fiddly to do. The only details they've left us to put on are in this bag, where you've got a vacuum pipe, maybe an additional one if you want to have the 2 vacuum pipes on it, and then there's something thin there. So I'll have to look in the manual and find out where the other bit goes. The rest of it looks like you've got the tool to get the chip in there. They also give you some cab side plates that can go on the side there, which is nice of them. I think they're plastic. I'm not sure if I don't think they're metal, but either way I won't be using them. Looking at the tender, obviously we've all looked at a lot of tenders, nothing too exciting to get excited about tenders, but I kind of care about small details that are around. So you've got obviously the buffers that you can compress in, but the little foot point that you can kind of rest your foot on if you're climbing up the back of it, that's nice to see that that's on there. You've got, I can't read that writing, but you've got some, I guess, is that where the engine was made, so that's quite nice as well to see that in there. But it's nice to see everything all fitted to the logo. It looks very smart. Transfers look good. Obviously you can get it with G and then a crest and then W on these, but I wanted the GWR. That's kind of what I like to do. I've got a few locos with Great Western on, which I wish I could go back in time and change to GWR. The coal looks okay, but never can beat using real coal, so that's a movable load, so we'll take that out and put some coal in there. Then we can kind of dust up inside here a little bit and do some very light weathering. Like all around here it's all very freshly painted, so we can also dust over that with some light weathering afterwards as well, and that'll be, yeah, I think very enjoyable to do. So yeah, very nice looking tender, and that simply, from what I understand, it just pushes up, so that clips together there, so that's now as a single item there. But looking at it, it's nice. It's got very fine door darts on there. You've got the handles that go onto the dart there. Then you've got the iron for the lamps. It's very delicate sitting on there. Looks very good. The paint finish is really nice as well. I'm happy with how the green looks. It does look like an extremely good job of what they've done on here. So yeah, so I think what we'll do next is we'll look at fitting this next 18 decoder. I believe that's what should go in here. In the manual it does talk about fitting the next decoder, so obviously I haven't got this factory fitted, so yeah, so fitting DCC decoder, so that's page 11. Quick glance over there, see what they say. So that's page 11, we'll get round to here. So fitting a DCC decoder, so they recommend, obviously, I think their brand of one, but I don't have one. So apparently it should offer a minimum of 2 functions for the firebox flicker to operate. So it's got tallest DCC speaker fitting system. Okay, fine, I don't have one of them, but maybe in the future. And so apparently we remove the smoke box door with this. Okay, so we remove the smoke box door. This is a friction fit. Removal may be eased by using the wedge end of a smoke box door tool supplied. So we'll get the tool out. So on the wedge end of the smoke box door, try and do this so you can see. But we get behind the hinge and we pop that off. So inside here is our bit. It looks like there's a hole, so then we pull this out. I see. So on here we have the piece that makes the board work with normal DC. And then here I have the Bachmann decoder. If we just get that out and stick that, and we simply clip it in place. The next 18s are quite nice. I say that as it's not a 2-second job. There we are. So that's now pushed on in place there. If I wanted to, there's a option for a speaker there. If I had a chip, they include a box here. Let's have a look. And that would be the, I guess, the enclosure for it if it got soldered on. So that's fantastic. So I just need to make sure I put it in the right way up, I guess. So that goes in here. It actually says on here, that's how helpful they are. It says top, just that. So well done, Dapol. It's really helpful. So that goes in there. Probably the easiest DCC installation I've ever done. No merit of my own, just all Dapol's ingenuity there. I wonder if other people will copy that over time. So that's it, the smoke box door back on. Hopefully that all works. I'll keep this to look at settings to then adjust it later on. It comes with some details there anyway for the next 18. So I'll put that here. What it is, I'll drop in, even, actually no I won't, I'll think that's a chip. Think, oh that's right, I've got an next 18. What it is, I'll pop it back in this little packet. So now we've DCC fitted that, you saw how easy it was. The wedge tool, one end just gets behind, like I said, the hinge. We pop that off. I was a bit nervous initially, I don't want to go and break anything. And then this has got a nice little hook on the end, and that popped in there, pulled out the decoder board that you could sit on. So that's fantastic. So very impressed. So well done, Dapol. We've come down to the Gloucestershire and Warwickshire Railway to enjoy the Dapol Manor running for the day, as well as there's another loco going.
Got a standard 460 75014.
Yeah, Tony knows all the numbers because Tony, in your spare time, you're a volunteer at you do the Great Central as your main one.
Yeah, just the Great Central at the moment. But
yeah,
been a couple of railways down the years.
Yeah, so it's been great to hang out with Tony today to talk about a few things. And so one of the things, obviously we've got the 47 in the background. We thought we'd get here because it's looking very nice. Yeah. So that'd be nice if that comes out later. Who knows?
Might be.
So the Dapol Manor that's running today, I just thought I'd ask you a few things about the manor because I've got what is going to be now my Bradley Manor, which I'm getting going. I should know. We're currently mid-project at the moment. And so I just wonder if obviously you can read things off Wikipedia and learn all day, but do you know a few things about the manor that would be interesting?
One of the things about Dinmore probably is it's actually a BR built loco. It's not a Great Western built loco. The Great Western Manors came out in the 30s. Then obviously the first batch was built. Then BR built a second. Well, BR Western Region built a second batch in 1950.
I see.
So it's a bit. It's not all it seems.
So it's not Great Western.
No, it's BR Western Region rather than Great Western.
Okay.
So there's an interesting little snippet on.
So I see. So Dinmore, if you actually wanted to have a Great Western liveried one, wouldn't actually really be.
Dinmore wouldn't be right for Great. I think Dinmore is the first of the BR Western built batch because Hinton Manor 7819, which is it's on the Severn Valley Railway. is a Great Western built one. I'm sure it is. So
Okay.
I could be wrong on that. Someone will pick me up on it if I'm wrong.
That's interesting.
I'm sure Hinton Manor is Great Western built. So,
Right.
yeah.
So you need to find out about my Bradley Manor.
Bradley's definitely Great Western built.
Okay, well that's good.
7802, so that was the third one. So yeah.
That's good. And you mentioned something about the other loco, the standard is running today.
Yeah. The unusual thing is the BR Standard, very modern looking, very sort of sleek design. Dapol Manor, very Victorian almost looking design with its copper clad pipe, copper clad chimney and its
beautiful looking.
on it. Looks very sort of, very quaint almost,
yes.
but very functional at the same time. They're only a year apart in build dates.
Right.
Yeah, Dapol Manor 1950, 75014 1951. So,
is that just because there was loads of patterns, they knew what they're doing, just keep building them?
Yeah, British Railways initially kept building successful designs. Clun Castle is built by British Railways, not by the Great Western.
I see.
The J72 at the North Yorkshire Moors, 69023, design really dating back to the 1880s, was built in 4950 again. So
yeah.
LMS Black Fives are still being built in the 1950s. Well, BR Midland region Black Fives. So so it's originally BR were just basically copy and pasting, and then Riddles came along and designed his standard range of locomotives, and from Britannia being the first one in, I think that was 1951 as well. Again, someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong.
No, I'm sure they will. I'm sure. Well, it's fantastic stuff to learn about. Stuff I'm not going to find out about in books. Even when, I might do, but it's that correlation between the two locos today. That was quite interesting in today.
Of course, both built with Swindon as well. Right?
Both built with Swindon.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
Same site, just a year apart.
Yeah. That's excellent. Well, thank you very much.
No problem.
And obviously, I'm not going to leave you to go on your way because we're together today.
Find some trains.
That's it. We're going to go find some. We're going to try and get some shots, hopefully shown in this video. Tony's going to give me some stills, maybe. This works out, and I'll just video some, obviously, shots of it going over. Yeah. So we're going to go chase the trains, and it should be good. What we'll do is I'm going to disconnect it from the tender, so it's simple pull apart. That can sit out of the way here. I want to work on the side of the loco now. I want to angle it towards myself so it's easier to work on and for yourself to see. So I just need a little bit of foam to pack it up. So pop some foam behind it, and that can sit there quite happily. Now the question is, do I just stick these over the top? I wonder how that's going to look. If I try and take this off, just break something. It looks pretty solid, so I'm feeling like I should just stick these over that top. So I just need to trim these out with a knife. So we'll start with the Bradley Manor sign. So I've trimmed them out, and you can see that there's where we've trimmed about. There's that top edge. So I'm just going to use a little file, sand that, or file it, and then we can stick them on over the top of that one. So I've given these a file, well, a sand. I've actually used one of my sanding sticks. I think Bachman sell these. I don't know where I got them from, just a model shop at the time. But they're very handy. There's various grades, and you can work your way around. It's the nice thing about them is it's something to hold on to, where sometimes the files are quite small. And the thin ones of these, not thin, the fine ones of these, allow you to they deform as you're sanding, so it means that you don't necessarily completely damage a shape that you're working on, and yeah, so that's quite nice. Whereas the metal things, they aren't always forgiving when you're doing that. For this next bit, all you need is a cocktail stick or something to put the glue on with, a pair of tweezers, and then I just got some Evo stick wood glue. I don't think it really matters. The beauty of the wood glue is it gives you lots of drying time. So I'm just going to pop some here, more than what we need. And we've got to imagine when we're doing this, how we're going to put this on so we don't cover the rest of the model in glue. So I'll be dropping it on there and then manoeuvring it to shape. So I also don't want to get glue all over the place. So sitting that, oh, I just dropped it inside the loco. There it is. So we've got to have a go at doing this. What I do is I'll turn it on its side this way. It's easier to work on. And I actually did bend this a little bit when I got it out, which is a shame. Hopefully that doesn't show. I'm sure I won't notice when I'm working on it. But anyway, I'll hold it with the tweezers. These ones are a bit mucky, but they will do the job. So don't have to put much on. It's not like it has to go through anything structural. Just enough to sit there, because we can always peel it off another day if we decide we don't want this. So just lay it on. It's actually a slightly different shape underneath it, which is a shame. So we try and balance out the two. Yeah, get some black paint and we can paint the gold bits we don't want to see. Okay, so then we've got the cab side plates, which again it's the same story. I've sanded these so I can't see the bits on the side. Get cocktail stick, get some glue on it. Not too much. Obviously I've got shaky hands right now doing this because I'm on camera. Normally I'm as cool as a cucumber, right? Get my big fingers in the way so you can't see what I'm doing. Come on, I don't want to get PVA glue all over the cab. Guess if I do, it's no biggie. But that has worked out quite nice. And there we are, Bradley Manor. So I'll do the other side and yeah, we'll move on to the tender. So this is our tender that we saw before. What I want to do is get this coal load out. So does it shake out? It does. So that's the coal load as it is. I always wonder how they model it on CAD, but I'm sure something like Blender can generate that kind of that texture. But this is our wagon, not wagon. This is our tender. We're going to add some coal in here. We don't want it to necessarily fall out, so what I'll do, I'm going to kind of partially place bits down there and then we can add and build up onto it. I'll start by adding some wood glue. I'll pour some in to begin with. See, I'll block the light probably most naturally. What I do is I'll find a brush that we can use. So I'll just basically pour enough glue in so we don't have to keep adding it later. Then using a brush, or you could use a cocktail stick to move it around, but it's not quite the same thing. I'll just move it around, work it, because it's going to work its way down to here anyway, down to the bottom, so you can see here. That's that. So I'm just going to move it around, and then we're going to add the coal and just shovel it in, and then afterwards we're going to use some, careful where the glue goes, some isopropyl alcohol to make sure it's all get stuck down. So the isopropyl alcohol, sorry, we'll put in, and then after that we'll put some watered down glue over the top of that. So we've added our glue. I've dropped it in here. and just kind of mix it around. It's going to naturally find its end goal, which is to come down to the bottom here. We're going to have coal down there. Moved it around with a cocktail stick, just some normal PVA glue. If you use someone's glue like Gorilla Glue, it will harden quicker, but you've got plenty of drying time. Got some bits in here. I've got some bits that are far too big, you know, I don't think we can put that in there, but I have got some smaller pieces. What I do need to do though is crush up some of these so they're smaller, but some of the big chunks work out quite nicely to begin with. What I'll do is we'll pick them out with the tweezers, and we can take up a bulk of the room for the coal that you're not going to really see too much. Pop that in here, because this will just be underneath the thinner stuff that we have. So what I'm going to do is, after this, is go and break up some of the bits in the garage with a hammer, with it in a bag, and then we should be good. But you see some of the locos in the pictures, they have ginormous pieces of coal on the back. So to begin with, like I said, you're not really going to see these chunky bits, because we're going to have some smaller coal on top. I don't have to put all the coal in, you know, we could have a small load, but I'd like this to be ready for a hard day's work. It's got all lined up, so we'll just drop these in place. But it's nice because you've got the nice shiny coal. I know coal would scale and maybe not be so shiny, but there's something about doing model railways and using real coal in bunkers. So obviously, like I said, this is all far too big, but we're going to add lots of small bits next, like I've got in here. We'll chisel these in, drop them down at the front, and that will look nice, but I don't have many of the small bits left anymore, so we'll just work our way through. I'll fill this up, like I said, make some more in a bit. So I've had the fun job of adding in the coal. I honestly really enjoy doing this stage. You can use big bits, small bits, fine bits, and just create your own load that you can put in. It's just such a simple, easy thing to do. Next, what I'm going to do is, be careful where it drips to, is with a pipette, we're going to put in some watered down, we're going to put in some isopropyl alcohol, which is mixed with water. And this allows just the glue to spread through. And so I just try not to put too much on, because what we don't want is it pouring out the end, which will naturally happen anyway. But what I do is just try and make sure it wicks onto everything, so when we put the glue on, it does spread quite nicely. I've got some 50-50 mix of water and PVA glue. Again, try not to use too much of this. I'm just going to put some little bits in areas that it probably hasn't got that glue underneath, which is all the bits on top. If you put too much in, it all comes out the bottom, and that area that is where it would naturally go to will get a bit murky, but maybe that's okay. We can always use some weathering powders to hide it. So we just drop this in. As you can see, I'm just being nice and gentle, not going overboard, and it's working its way actually to the end here. If I put too much in, you can see there's already a build up down there, so that's going to naturally just work its way. So what I could probably use is a bit of tissue to gather up some of that moisture. So just come back in here. We don't want to use too much. So I've come back. It's actually been a few days. I've been away of work, but that looks all right. You just got to watch out for any glue that kind of seeps down and works its way around. I actually had a bit of glue across here that I kind of just peeled off and out of the way, but it's all right. And then to kind of blend in the bottom of the coal, I've added in using some weathering powders. I've got some old like Games Workshop Forge World bits, and just get a bit of powder. And you just start kind of dusting in certain corners and everything, and just dust off whatever you don't use. Yeah, just to help blend that in. I don't want to make this massively weathered. You know, you can go and just touch some areas to add a bit more texture if you want. Because it's a really nice loco, I don't want to go to town on anything. I just want to knock in a bit of the weathering, because it adds in a bit of detail when you do that. You can see a bit more of the rivet work on the steps there. So this is it now. So it's obviously very shiny, all very nice. And what I did is just come in and I just kind of smudge it in, and that's it. So it kind of dulls it off a little bit, and it'll be representing more of, I guess you could call it real life. Not that I was around back then, but you see them, you know, they're black, but they're not perfectly clean, the underframes. But we can always come back later and add a bit more if we want to, but I'm happy with just doing a little bit on this. So that's the tender actually kind of done completely, so I'm going to put that aside. We can now work on the front of the loco. Actually, one thing I do want to change on this, I noticed that the vacuum pipe is green. I don't know if mine happened to be missed being painted black, but actually I'm going to get some black paint and paint that at some point before the end of this video anyway. But that's something that I feel that should be that colour, so I'll just get some normal acrylics, paint that black, and we'll be fine. What I wanted to do on the front was obscure this transfers that are here. So the transfers on the front at the moment is 7814, and I need to have 7802. So what I'm going to do is get some red paint, which hopefully isn't too far from the colour of this red paint, and we can go from there. So I've watered down the red paint a little bit, and all we do is we're just going to gently cover up what we don't need. Hopefully that red blends in quite nicely. See, whilst I was waiting for that to dry, I've been adding a bit of the weathering powder to the roof. I thought we'd do a bit on the top here. Put some bits down there. My brush is a bit small for it, so you might see the strokes a bit, so I might use a bigger brush, but I will. Kind of knock off the excess, so you leave bits in the recesses around there. Get a mucky finger when doing it, but kind of get like it's been rained on, cleaned off, something like that. I don't want to do anything over here. I don't want to ruin it, so I can dust off the bits that are there. Everything goes in fine, but I want it to be in lovely condition, which is the main thing. On the front, I've added some just where it would have been around the cab, so we've got some all on the cab area, and we can knock some of it back with our finger if we have to. It doesn't have to be all over this, so we can add more texture to it. But yeah, no, I'm happy with that. It's probably harder to see on the camera, but I just feel like I've done something to knock off the complete perfection of it. As this is most likely dried, we'll add the transfers on there. You haven't already seen these are by HMRS, not the revenue service, but they do historical transfers, and you have this kind of protective sheet because it's all sticky, all tacky, so to speak. I want to add on what I want onto, so where I've painted it red, I'll then use the O and the 2 and stick that on the front. You can also do the other crests and bits going on, a whole Great Western on there. Yeah, and obviously you've got bits for, I guess, coaches and things like that on here. So it's nice and interesting. But for us, all we do is we score the material around it. So nice and simple. I just run a little line, don't have to cut in too deep. I would use a cutter mat under here, but I wasn't thinking. But we are where we are. I'm sure it'll be fine. And all I do is I tuck the blade under and knock out half of the thickness. So that's there, and the same for the 0. Sometimes I cut through like here because I forget. I don't know, what am I doing? Yeah, so it's nice. So it lifts off the paper pretty well. Bear in mind that you've got the yellow and then you've got the black. You want the black to be at the bottom. So when you've got wands and things, you don't always realise where you are with it. But my first one is the O. It lets me have it. But what I do is, you can't really see so much, but it's quite hard to do this on camera. I need a vertical mount for the camera, don't I? So I'm going to drop it there first. So what I do is, I'm going to use my finger to hold it in place. So it's stuck on there, right? In the wrong place completely, but that's fine. All I do is I then walk it around to the position that I want. What I've actually done for here, I was struggling to get the O on, though it's stuck to the tweezers. What I've done here is actually cut off 2 of the rivets so it's kind of flush, and then repainted over. So we'll have another go, because it wasn't enjoying, like these don't enjoy climbing over the pronounced rivets. So that's on there. It's quite simple now. We just use a bit of moisture. Well, use some water, don't just use some random moisture. We just get some water and we just touch it over the top of the tissue. See how that goes clear? And it's going to detach itself on the front numbers. And once we've done that, I'll just use some gloss and just paint it over the top of here, and that will retain those transfers for longer. So after a moment or two, you should be able to pick that paper off. And the same for this one. Don't worry if you forget to do it. You can come back and just re-wet it and do that. So with that, like that, all looking good. I'm just going to use I guess I use satin varnish. We don't want to make it too shiny, but there's some satin varnish there. I always like to water it down a little bit to stop it making everything go pink, because it's naturally white. Well, I say naturally white, but it comes out white out of the packet. So just cover the area and some more, just to help blend in any surface finish. And that's it. I'll let that dry. What I have noticed whilst working on it, and I didn't notice it, I actually knocked off one of the irons for the lamps. So that's not good. So I need to put that back on. So that's them all fitted, all looking nice and tidy. I do like them, and then the brass state. Again, that's a sprue that comes from Silvertay models. Just type in the fire irons, and you'll find them on eBay generally. So you go check them out. Yeah, I'll just use my Abaddon Black by Games Workshop. I find it's quite a good black as a paint. Quite like it. I've tried a couple. That is my kind of my go-to. So yeah, we'll use that to just touch these up. The next step for me is to paint up the crew. These are the ones that I showed you at the beginning, which is the Loco Crew right-hand drive Monty's models. Get these from Dark Castings. So we get them out and I'll paint them up. I won't show you the whole painting of the people. You've probably seen them on many of my other videos, but I'll show you a tiny bit of painting and then we'll put them in. The one thing to remember when you're painting figures for your locos is that you won't really see the front. So you don't spend too much time on the front, because ultimately you're not going to see it unless they fall out. But the nice thing is when you know you've done a good job. So I kind of put a few colours on the front, kind of just block it. No one's going to be staring at the figure that's on the inside. I'm just going to put in the lighter colour overalls on, which have been washed quite a few times. And then just work my way around. You'll see this would be the part that you do see. So basically I aim at the larger areas, and then the areas that are that have little recesses in, I kind of avoid them a bit more. Not that I need everything to stand out on the guy, but I think it's important to get that practice in. Back of the trousers. I water down the paint quite a bit as well, so it doesn't go and dominate it. We can come back and do a couple more coats if we need to. But that's my driver. We just need to like do a skin afterwards here. You've got the fireman here. He's looking all right. He just needs his other colours on him. And yeah, again, you can see here we're just going to touch the higher areas. You don't have to go mad on it. And that's it really. Nice and easy. And we build up. We can add our whites in where we need the whites, and we can paint their hat and their shoes black. And you just work it around here. And to be honest, like the way that I'm doing this here, once it's dry, if you put that in, I'd argue it's good enough. Don't ever worry about when you're doing any like detail work, like, oh, what if I don't get it in the right area? And it's fine, because you can come and touch in afterwards. Obviously I'm doing this on camera, so it's all at the wrong angle for me, but I'm doing it for your benefit so you can see, you know, what we're doing. But you know, water the paints down or thin them down as you're doing it, each brush stroke. You know, it's less harmful, you know, when you're using thinner paints, because when it dries it's less aggressive as well. So you can build up your layers, as well as it's not so aggressive if you had to paint over the top of it to get it kind of a nice colour again. These are done. Obviously got a man here with a black cap. He looks alright. You don't have to go to town on it. Don't have to spend too much time making it fancy, because you're only going to see this back view anyway. So that's one of those things. And then we've got our fireman sitting here. He's got a lighter jacket on this one, and we're going to drop him in, and I'm sure it'll look great. Putting our figures in, I'll be using super glue. I'll hold them very carefully around the neck with my tweezers. Arguably you should use some plastic tweezers. They'll always be more friendly to the model, otherwise you might scratch some of your nice paint off that you've worked very hard to well, make your model look nice. So I've got my little pot here. I get some glue on a stick, and I can just tap it off here under there. I then get my man. I'm just going to dab his feet in it, and what we want to do is be sure-footed in regards to the way we put him down, otherwise we're going to have lots of marks all over the foot plate. So I'm going to put him here. What you can use is use some kicker to make it stay exactly where you wanted. So I block most of it with my hands, but you just get that activator on there, let go, and they should not fall out. So it's shiny at the moment only because of the colour of the shininess of the activator, but that will dry. And now we have our crew just minding their own business. So they're in there doing their thing. One more addition is these lamps that we can put on. So I'm going to put two on the front to make it an express loco. I believe I need to put one here and one here, and that will be perfect. For these, it's nice and simple. They look great because they've got that little gem in there, and I'm just going to stick it where I need to. Get my kicker ready just in case I need to use that. That comes in here. I'm going to drop it on top here. So we've got two lamps on the front, and yeah, it's pretty much ready to go now. We've got my crew in there. I think what we need to do is have a small adventure up into the loft, and we can run this very nice looking loco. You can see the silver that I put on the, is it crossheads? I'm not sure what these are called, but they sit in the guides. Put some silver on there, and that looks nice. Kind of matches up quite well. Don't know why they weren't painted, but I've done the other side as well, and it kind of works. Still looks quite black on that side. Can maybe put a little bit more silver on there. But no, looking smart, looking tidy. So I haven't had a chance to run this yet. I've purely just got up here, popped on the layout, and the layout is a very short run. It's just a forwards and backwards by kind of 1.5 meters each way. So we won't be giving this in any way a long run today. We can kind of bring it round and stop it in places. So let's just see if it's kind of slow movements straight out of the box, see how it behaves. Maybe I can kind of mimic a nice run of us putting some coaches. So going forwards, I've got my gauge master control here. It's going to go slowly. The pre-programmed chip from back when they're normally pretty nice, and yeah, it doesn't go and take off really quickly or take forever to get going. But no, seems alright. Obviously sound chips are always nice, but obviously they come at a cost. And the Hornby one's not going to fit into that area. It's way too big as a Next 18 one. It's got a little bit of a growl to the motor, but I'm not too fussed about that. But it's brand new. We need to probably give it a few hours work before I can really judge it, so we'll probably talk about it again sometime. But it's a nice little runner. There it is. So what I do is I'll pop a couple of coaches on and you can see it come through the station. Fun fact for you, I've put a bit of track spaced up on here at the other side, so the loco. So the loco can only go to about here, and then disaster strikes. But until I do anything, maybe I'll put something semi-permanent up here. Just a board going that way, and then we can run locos backwards and forwards and enjoy parts of the layout. So I want to work on the other section. I've enjoyed running it backwards and forwards. I've done a few up and downs with it, tried both sides. It needs more running in, naturally. I haven't got the loop, so I can just run it. But that's okay, I can come back another day. The loco is very nice. The only negatives I found was that the crossheads, I think that's what they're called, that then go into the cinders, that's just black plastic, so I've painted mine silver. So that's, I think, could be an improvement on the loco. And on the vacuum pipe at the back, or heater pipe, whichever one it is, I think it's a vacuum pipe. It was green, where I think it should be black, but could be wrong. But apart from that, the rest of it's very nice. I'm quite impressed with all the detail. Price point, very good. It runs nicely. The details on it are fantastic. Like I said, there's only two minor things that I tweaked myself. Put a crew in it, which is cool. Putting the DCC chip in there was very convenient, the way that it all went together. So yeah, really happy with all that. Hope you've enjoyed watching the video. Give me some comments, give me some feedback on what you think. Lovely looking loco. Would I get another manor? I'm not sure if I need another one on my layout yet. There's lots of other locos that I'd like, but I am really pleased with the loco. And yeah, I'd recommend to get one, honestly. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. The channel will grow and become bigger, therefore I can do that little bit better content all the time, because the channel gets bigger, therefore the videos hopefully will get better with it. Thank you to all the people that comment. Comments are fantastic, because I get to read each one and I try and reply to every single one of them. If I haven't, I apologise. Sometimes they kind of don't show up on the feed of comments. I have to hunt through and look for comments and reply to more recent videos. Hit like if you like the video as well, that's all good. The algorithm of YouTube likes this kind of thing. So yeah, so please do that. I'd like the channel to grow and the videos to be seen by many people. I quite enjoy the enjoyment that people get from them, and I like the feedback. If you're a patron and a channel member, big thank you to you. You help the channel grow in your way. You get to see videos a day early, or 2 days or 3 days, depending on what I've been up to. So yeah, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I've enjoyed making it. The manor, obviously in memory of my friend Chris, it's been a pleasure to do. I've now got that loco that he stood next to, so it does mean a lot to me having that loco. So I was actually very happy when I saw that Dapol were releasing the manor, because I knew exactly what I wanted to do in regards to that project. I wanted a Bradley manor in Great Western, and I can have it in memory of Chris, so may he rest in peace. Anyway, take care, look after yourselves, don't work too hard, enjoy the railway. See you later, goodbye.